Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I am starting my latest book diary. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. I tend to do them for our Space Sirens book club picks, and where I had a couple of months off from filming. I haven't done one since Black Sun, I think, was the last one I did, which was our November book, although I read it in December. Continuing the tradition of reading the book club books late, this book diary is for our February book, which is A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martine. Today is the 6th of March. I'm a little bit late starting it. I actually started this on Wednesday, but I've not been very well this week. I had a really bad migraine on Thursday and I'm still a little bit dopey. It's now Saturday. So I've read a couple of chapters so far. My plan for today is just to try and read loads. The live show is next weekend, so I'm hoping to finish it in time to take part in that. Having said that, I have got an essay which was meant to be due on Monday, but I've got an extension for it, so I've got an extra couple of weeks, but I'm gonna need to be working on that a lot next weekend, so whether I'll actually take part in the live show or not remains to be seen, but it would still be nice to finish the book, so even if I decide not to be on screen for the live show, I can still join in the comments. Having said all that, you may not see this before the live show because I don't know when I'm going to have time to edit it either, but never mind. Anyway, so this book is science fiction. It is first in a series. The second one apparently has just come out, so if I enjoy it I will be looking to get that, because apparently it benefits to read them quite close to each other, which is not something I tend to do, but from my Space Sirens friends who had arcs of the second book, a lot of them said they had to go back and reread the first book because there's just so much detail in this one that they'd forgotten that was necessary to understanding the second book, apparently. This is the thing with sometimes with science fiction, I'm really bad at pronouncing the names correctly, with fantasy as well, and I was hoping there was a pronunciation guide. There's like a list of characters, but it doesn't actually tell you how to pronounce the names, so I'm probably going to butcher all of the names I'm about to say, but never mind. So it's about Mahit Damar, who is from a small mining colony. She has just been picked as the new ambassador from her colony to the very large empire that her colony borders, and the empire wants to take over her colony, but she's got to try and stop them. When she gets to the heart of the empire, she finds that her predecessor was probably murdered, but it's all very suspicious and unclear. So I've read a couple of chapters so far. She's arrived and she's seen the body of her predecessor, and she's just heard from a couple of the liaisons. So she has like an appointed liaison, and then there's someone else who I'm not entirely sure what his role is, but he was present at the post-mortem or has done something with the post-mortem, and he said there's something suspicious about the body. One of the differences between the two cultures that we've uncovered so far is that Mahit's people have this thing called an imago. So they have the memories of like their predecessors implanted, so it's like having a person in their head who's sharing their knowledge and experiences, and it tends to get passed down, sometimes generationally within a family, but it tends to be in terms of like business lines or roles. So she's got some of the memories of the previous ambassador, but it's 15 years out of date from the previous time that he came back to their home colony. Because it's all been very rushed, it's not necessarily working properly, and there's a problem with it, and she's got to be careful of how much she gives away about their culture. That's one of her difficulties as ambassador, because this other culture don't know about this. And I think that was about as much as I can tell you. I tried to keep these spoiler free. This has happened within the first couple of chapters, so that's all I've read so far. Yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, so I'm gonna read some today and I will maybe update you later when I've read a bit more. Hello again. So we are now on Tuesday. I think I said in the first part of this book diary that I wasn't feeling great on Saturday. I'd had a really nasty migraine a few days earlier and was still feeling pretty wiped. So my intention was to read a lot of A Memory Called Empire. I ended up deciding that was probably a little bit too intense for how I was feeling, and so I opted to read some fantasy romance all day instead. But I did read a little bit. My problem is, like, I've got so much going on at the moment with uni work and whatnot, and I was feeling like, yeah, not great over the weekend. So I've mainly only been trying to read A Memory Called Empire in the evenings, and I am generally like falling asleep reading it, which is not a reflection on the quality of the book, because it's really good that you actually see the book. I am really enjoying it. It's just, I know, something about the style of writing, or the intensity of it, or just my general levels of tiredness, that I'm reading it, I get into bed and I start reading it and I just doze off halfway through each chapter. I just got to the end of chapter 4 and there's so much about this book that I like so many of the tropes really appeal to me. I think I've discovered that I really love the trope of the protagonist doesn't know who they can trust. For some reason I really like that, and that is like a central aspect of the story. Mahit, the ambassador, doesn't know who she can trust, and the situation just seems to be getting more dangerous. I don't want to go into too much detail. I don't like to give away too much of the story or too many spoilers in these book diaries. Just say that some dramatic things have been happening and it's leaving Mahit feeling even more isolated than she was already, and I just really like that. She's a really endearing character as well, and I think I find her quite relatable, and I can understand why she's reacting the way she is to the stuff that's happening. So I'm just past page 100. There are about 460 pages, so I'm not quite a quarter of the way through yet. I'm thinking at this point it's unlikely that I will have finished in time for the live show at the weekend, and I am maybe double booked anyway. I'm not sure I'm going to finish it before that, but I will catch up on watching that afterwards, and when I edit this and put it all together, I will link to that live show for you, regardless of whether I'm in it or not, so you can see what all the Space Sirens saw. And we tend to go into spoilers like in the second half of those videos, so there's a little non-spoilery bit to start with, and then a more spoilery bit afterwards. I know a lot of the Space Sirens really love this book, and a few of them have just read the sequel as well, and I'm definitely enjoying this enough at the moment that I will intend to buy the sequel. But yeah, I'm going to stop rambling for now. It's quite late in the evening, so I'm going to get ready for bed. I'm going to make a cup of bedtime tea, and I'm going to try and read in bed and not fall asleep straight away. We'll see how it goes, and I'll update you again in a few days when I have some more thoughts. Hello, it is now Sunday evening. I've had the ongoing problem this week of not having a heck of a lot of time for reading, or actually very much energy for reading. It's been a really busy week with a lot of stuff happening, both in my life and in the world in general, which has left me quite emotionally tired. While I am really enjoying this book, it's not easygoing, it's not a straightforward read, it's not a quick read, it is a very slow read, and I keep having the problem of I'll start reading it and then I'll fall asleep. So I am very much enjoying it, and I don't want that to be any kind of a reflection of how good the book is, because it is really good, it's just slow. It's a slow-paced book, it's a slow read, it's a lot of information. It's not info dumpy, so the main character, Mahit, she's gone as the ambassador to this empire. She has spent years training for this kind of role, but then when she gets there, she finds that there's so much that she didn't know, so we're learning everything as she does. We're also learning about her and her cultural background as well, so it doesn't feel info dumpy. It's really good, strong world building. It's just quite slow paced world building. I've discovered that there are a couple of tropes that I really like in this book that I wouldn't have necessarily said I enjoyed, but apparently I am really enjoying them. So the first one is the main character being entirely out of their depth. That is brilliant. I really am enjoying that. I really like Mahit as a character anyway. I'm really rooting for her that she'll figure stuff out. And then I think I've already mentioned the other trope that I'm really enjoying is the she doesn't know who she can trust trope. Apparently that is something that I really enjoy in novels, that I've noticed a kind of a theme in a few books that I've read recently, so that's really fun. I think nearly a third of the way through. I've just got to the interlude, which is 150 or so pages in, so I mean it's taken me over a week to get this far. The live show was yesterday, so clearly I didn't take part in that, but I will leave a link to that below so you can check out what everyone else thought of it, and then when I have finished it I will go back and watch that. Hopefully it'll only be about another week to finish it, or this is going to be a very long book diary, but I have got an essay due in a week, so we'll see how it goes, and I might need to pick up some slightly lighter books, but never mind. So I am going to probably read a bit more this evening, although it's quite late. But yeah, I will update again in a few days when I've read a bit more. So bye for now. Hi, so it's been a little while. We're now on the 7th of April. I don't even remember the last time I updated for any of this book. Basically, most of March and the beginning of April were taken up with writing some quite hefty assignments for uni. And while I was really enjoying this book, just a little bit dense and a little bit too serious that my brain just couldn't quite cope with reading it while I had so many other things going on. So I've been reading a lot of much lighter stuff, and I'm really excited to be back reading this now. I'm hoping to finish this week. So I did read a little bit last night. I'm on page 175. So I managed about half a chapter last night before I fell asleep. But that's okay. It means I'm approaching the halfway point, and it was really good to get back into it. I was worried that I would struggle to get back into it, but actually I remember a lot of what had happened at the beginning, so that's okay. So I'm really looking forward to carrying on this book now, and just apologies it's taken me so long, really. This was our February book for Space Sirens, and yeah, still haven't made it to the end. So I really want to finish it. I've just finished our March book, and I want to finish this before I start the April book, rather than having multiple book diaries ongoing at the same time. I'm gonna read some more today. I've also got a little bit of editing I want to do, and I've got a couple of videos that are nearly ready to go live on YouTube, so I want to get them sorted. I'm just having a couple of days off this week from doing studying because I just handed in a big essay, so hopefully I'm going to try and get this finished this week before I have to start work on my next big essay. And yeah, I'll keep you updated as I go through. Hello, it is Monday the 12th of April, and I'm going to finish this book today. I'm determined. I have just under 70 pages left, I think. It has got very exciting, and I want to finish it today. I don't even remember the last time I updated you, but I've read quite a lot this week, so I've just been ploughing through. I've got more and more into it, so I'm really glad I persevered. The pace has definitely picked up towards the end. It's quite slow paced for most of the sort of first half of the book, and then as the situation gets more and more intense, the pace is starting to pick up. Someone pointed out to me yesterday on it was our live show for the Gilded Ones, which was our most recent Space Sirens book, and we kind of drifted onto some of the other books we've been talking about in previous month, and we were comparing how the Gilded Ones feels very fast-paced even though it takes place over a year, and this book is very slow-paced even though everything happens within like a week. I hadn't even necessarily realised that, and so yeah, so someone pointed that out to me yesterday. I was like, oh yeah. So the pace is definitely picking up as the situation's got more and more intense, more complicated. Yeah, I'm just really desperate to know what happens. I don't think it's going to be entirely resolved though. I know the second book has come out recently. I've just put a request in to get that one from the library, because if you've seen the state of my book budget at the moment, I can't afford to buy the hardback, and I can't afford to wait until the paperback comes out to get it. So yeah, hopefully it will come in at the library soon and I'll be able to conclude this duology. But before I get there, I need to finish this book, so I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to finish the book, and then I will come back and tell you all my non-spoilery thoughts. So I finished it, finally. I actually finished a couple of hours ago, and then I had some lunch, and I've just been trying to gather my thoughts and think about what I want to say. But I just can't keep putting off filming this finish to this book diary. It's taken me a while to get through this book, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you know that. If you've watched this far, you know that. But it was worth it. It was definitely worth it, persevering. This book is dense and it's hard work to start with. It took me a really long time to get into it, but once I got used to the style of writing, and once I had the headspace to actually focus and concentrate on it, it was really, really good, and I'm really glad I read it. I'm really thankful that it was picked for our book club. I'm a bit sad that I didn't finish it in time to take part in the discussion, and I will be watching that back, so I will link that for you in the description. I might not watch it right away. I might wait until I have the next book to read, because it will help remind me of a lot of the details, hopefully. Or I might just watch it now and then watch it again then. Who knows? I mean, it's been so long since I started this book and since I started this book diary that I can't really remember what I told you at the beginning. So I'll just recap a little bit of the story. Apologies, because you'll have just watched this even though I don't remember what I've said. The book follows Mahit, who is the new ambassador to the Texcalan Empire. She's from a small station, a small mining colony that is under constant threat of annexation by the Empire, and she's been sent to replace the previous ambassador who has died in mysterious circumstances to try and prevent the Empire from taking over their colony. Part of their history, their heritage on this colony, is they use neurological devices called imago machines, which record their memories, and then when a person dies, that machine is implanted into their successor. Mahit is equipped with an imago machine of the previous ambassador, but because it's been such a long time since he's been to the colony, it's about 15 years out of date. So she has to try and come to terms with this out-of-date previous person. They usually get a lot longer to integrate as well than she's been given, because they needed a new ambassador much more quickly than usually what would be allowed. I'm pretty sure I mentioned in an earlier part of this video that I've discovered one of my favourite book tropes is characters being completely out of their depth and not knowing who they can trust, and that is what happens for most of this book. I mean, gradually as time goes on, Mahit learns more who she can trust, who she can rely on, but she's just drawn into this web of conspiracy and she doesn't know who's on her side, what everyone's motivations are. And there's unrest within the city, within the heart of the empire. The current emperor is getting quite old, and there's kind of a lack of clarity about who's going to succeed him and what that is going to look like. So Mahit finds herself at the centre of this web of intrigue and doesn't know who she can trust, doesn't know how all the different parties feel about her colony and how they're going to treat her or react to that. Also, she really loves the Texcalan culture. She's kind of been a bit in awe of it all of her life, so figuring out how she fits into that as well. I would say it's definitely a character-driven book. There is a lot of plot in there, but the main focus of the story is about Mahit and how she copes with all this different stuff that's going on, and I really like that. I prefer character-driven stuff, but saying that, there is a lot of plot in there. There's a lot of twists and turns, a lot of development. If you like sci-fi, this is a really good example. If you're not sure about sci-fi but you like kind of political thrillers, then you'd probably enjoy this. I actually think in some ways, I often consider like political stuff to be more of a fantasy trait than necessarily a sci-fi trait. So if you like political fantasy, then again, this is probably something that you might enjoy. I can't think of anything else I want to say about this. I think I mentioned I've requested the sequel from the library because I can't afford to buy it at the moment. I don't have any money in my budget for book buying right now. And so hopefully that will come in quite soon. So I'll get to read the next one. And kind of like the sequel is only out in hardback at the moment, and I mean, I'm not obsessive about my books matching, but I prefer it if they do match. So if I start a series in paperback, I like to carry it on in paperback. So I will probably wait and buy the paperback of the sequel when it comes out, but that's not out till next year and I want to read it before that, so hopefully it will come through from the library soon. I think that's all that I want to say. I will link the live show for this in the description box for you. I think you'll have already seen my next book diary because I finished the Gilded ones before I finished this, so I imagine I'll probably have already uploaded that one. So the next Space Sirens book that I'm going to be doing a book diary for now will be The Bone Child Daughter, so hopefully starting that fairly soon, and we'll let you know what I think about that. But yeah, so that's it. So let me know if you've read this book, what you thought of it. Let me know if you enjoy sci-fi or if you'll be picking up the sequel. If you just want to let me know you've been here, leave me a little spaceship emoji for sci-fi. Please also like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and you can also follow me on my social media. All that information will be listed for you in the description box below. But that's it for today, so thank you so much for watching and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!